We welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show, 1130 The Tiger. He's Rogers Hampton. I'm Patrick Netherton. We're pleased to welcome in a guy who has put together a hell of a spot in seemingly the middle of nowhere in Harleton, Texas. But you could pass right by it as you're driving along, but if you stop and go in, you're going to be blown away by the flavors. It is called Wright On Taco Shop, and Brian Wright, along with his wife, the proprietors, and Brian joins us now. What's up, man?
Right on, right on, right on.
There you go. By the way, Rogers, if you don't know, his stickers that he has, all the good spots have little stickers. His stickers have Matthew McConaughey, and it says "Right On" it, so it works out perfectly. All right, Brian, let's back up a little bit, because when you think of stuff to do and kind of ways to take your livelihood, small taco shack in Harleton, Texas doesn't seem like it's high on the list. But walk me through why that was the way you wanted to go, and what sort of drove you in that direction.
Well, it's kind of just divine intervention. It's kind of tipped to fall. My wife actually started a small taco truck trailer before the brick and mortar here in Harleton, so that was the beginning. But 5 years ago, I would have never dreamt that this was what we would be doing right now for a living.
So you get so she starts the taco truck, and what kind of walk me through the process from, okay, the taco truck, what was the success rate, success level that you were having with that, and then what convinced y'all to go ahead and turn that into a brick and mortar location?
So she had decent success. She was doing some caterings, and she set up across from the school. The building came available, and we had some pretty serious roots here in town. I ran a family machine shop, weld fab business at the time, and it didn't seem like a huge leap of faith at the time. It was just kind of dip your toes in the water type thing, not a whole lot of investing or loaning from the bank. So it was a good start, and it was just kind of piece by piece, and things started falling together, and we started taking it more and more serious day by day.
So I know when you and I finally met, I finally got over there with Steve and Joseph from Riverport. We came by and ate a couple of months ago, and you talked a lot about your wife and kind of her part in this and how much she has to play in it. What is the partnership like there? What are you doing? What is she doing? Kind of how do y'all split up what you need to get done on a daily basis?
Right. So she's definitely the glue that holds it all together. And when I left the industry of the machine shop and sitting behind a desk, I was more than happy to let her do all of the bookkeeping, payroll, all of the payable stuff. But she's the head cook, chef, and we swap out positions. I try to stay out of her way and smoke meats and help prep and do other things. But she runs the kitchen, and I'm pretty much the pit master guy.
Well, that's what's interesting, because it's a taco shop, but you also have a really good barbecue product that you're putting out as well. I mean, you have a sliced brisket on the menu. Obviously, I was going to try that, and it's as good as any I've had, especially when you're kind of sandwiched between Brian Bingham over in Longview and Stephen Joseph in Jefferson. That's a couple of high water marks in terms of brisket cooking. So take me through how you ended up starting to cook brisket at a taco shop.
Yeah, no doubt. Being between those two guys is a blessing too, because they motivate you to be on top of your game, because you really can't sell bad barbecue in Texas anymore, or they'll run you out of town.
Yeah.
But, so the building is a small tin building, very unassuming. It did have an old 500-gallon offset smoker when we bought the property. So why not do barbecue tacos? And then watching every Aaron Franklin video on YouTube, reading every book.
Yeah.
Calling those guys like Brian and Steven, and just soaking up as much as I can, burning brisket, just trial and error, doing it every day for 4 years,
This is one of the things that I find fascinating because, you're sort of, I guess you're kind of half in and half out of the barbecue community, right? You're cooking brisket, which means that you're in the barbecue community, but you're also doing tacos, right, which is not really in the barbecue realm. You mentioned Stephen and Brian, who are two of the nicest guys that you're ever going to find when it comes to barbecue. But every pitmaster I've ever run into, up to and including Aaron Franklin, who we had on the show, they all seem willing to share. They all seem willing to talk. It doesn't feel like a competition. It feels like a camaraderie. Tell me about kind of getting into that group with Stephen and Brian and those guys and being able to use their knowledge to improve what you're doing.
Yeah, I could talk about that for hours. I mean,
feel free.
Talk about kind of being in no man's land. Like, are you a taco shop? Are you a barbecue shop? Well, I think we're pretty legit at both of those crafts, and we're not necessarily traditional taco shop, or we're not necessarily traditional barbecue either. So, back to that and those guys. Honestly, when you see those guys making these lists and see their Instagram accounts every day, you're like, wow, that's some great stuff. And just try to do your best each day to put out a quality product, So, I mean, I don't know what we are, if we're a taco, like who do you call a Texas Monthly Taco guy or Daniel Vaughn?
Right.
I don't know. We're kind of the redheaded stepchild, being that I'm redheaded anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll take that label with pride.
Well, and it's interesting though that you mentioned when you first started, you were reading all the Aaron Franklin books, watching videos, burning briskets. I mean, that trial and error is so much of it. Did you reach out to guys like Stephen or Brian or even Aaron Franklin, any of those guys? What was the knowledge transfer like with those guys, or was it, I just see what they're doing and I'm going to try to duplicate that? Or did you actually talk to those guys about what they're doing and try to get lessons from them or tips from them?
Oh, I've messaged and had conversations with both of those guys, and they're an open book too. They've helped me out with some things that I was having trouble with here and there. Just and it's more so reassurance that you're doing it the right way. I think because I think through trial and error you kind of understand if you're going down the right path. But to talk to some guy and have them with that knowledge and give them, okay, yeah, that's assurance that I'm at least headed in the right direction there. And I was watching the Netflix with Miss Tootsie and Snow's Barbecue the other day, and I think Daniel's quote was barbecue pitmasters will tell you everything they know and exactly what they do, and they'll just sit back, cross their arms, and say, "You still can't do it like I do."
Yeah, good luck.
It's hard work. Yeah, good luck. This is how you do it, but go for it.
Yeah, no, and that's the amazing thing is they literally can give you the step-by-step process, but there's so much, and this now, having done this, as you mentioned, for 6 years, that even if I went out and I don't smoke anything, I don't barbecue anything, I don't have the patience for it. And so if you told me, or Stephen or Brian told me, step by step, here's how I cook a brisket, I go out there and I'm going to fail. It's not going to be the right thing because there's so much of it that you have to be somewhat reactive or somewhat intuitive about when you're cooking brisket. And to me, that's the sort of the magic of it. That's the art of it is, there's science that tells you need to be at this degree to break down the amount of collagen that's in here and create this bark and all that. But there's also a very real art to do what you do.
Yeah, and just to remain humble too, and understand that each brisket is got a little variation to each one. So you're not going to have the same exact cook, even though you're ideally cooking the same cut of meat. You've got so many weather variables, wood variables, this, that, and the other. Sometimes the greatest pitmaster can't coax a good brisket out of a bad cut of meat. So, I mean, it is what it is.
We are Talking to Brian Wright of Wright On Taco Shop in Harleton, Texas. All right, so tell me about your wife and her background, because I come in, I had when I come into a place for the first time, I love to try a little bit of everything. So I had a few of your different tacos. I had some sliced brisket. I had a few other things. What's her background, and why has she been so successful at creating these delicious taco combinations?
I think mainly she's just a hard worker and a perfectionist. She was a nurse for a while. She went to nursing school and did that for a few years. But she really turned me into the foodie that I became. And I think that's really what we're all about. Is we were initially just fans of great food, and we would travel to get unique mom and pop spots that you can't find. They're not big chain type restaurants. So that's her mentality, and we cook like we're cooking for our family, small batch. And even though it's kind of grown to a larger scale, that's the same mentality we have. Is like that backyard barbecue where you got one brisket on for your friends and your family. We want the same quality for all of our customers that come through the door. So,
speaking of it feels like, and you can speak to this obviously a lot more than I can, but it does feel like the popularity is increasing, that your name's getting out there, that people are, because again, Harleton, Texas is an easy place to not go to. It's not really on the interstate. It's a little bit off the beaten path. It's not like it's in the middle of nowhere, but you can kind of see the middle of nowhere from where you're at. You're kind of between, you're kind of between two bigger cities. So if someone wants to go, they just, they have to be going there. It's not something you're going to pass by on the interstate and go, oh, this looks great, I'm going to stop in and eat here. So tell me about the growth of the business and people finding out about you, and where you're starting to see more people come from outside of just the locals.
Right. So, first of all, the locals are the reason we're still here after 4 years.
Sure.
100%. But yeah, it's great to have somebody come in for the first time, even after we feel like we've been open for quite some time, doing this. And each time you see a new face walk through the door and they tell you that it was great, and I'll definitely be back, it's really nice to hear. Like I said, we're kind of sandwiched between Longview and Marshall. Hallsville's fairly close. We get a lot of people that drive in. We've had several people from Shreveport in Dallas-Fort Worth area come in and just make a trip. And we knew we would definitely be a destination type restaurant. Like I said, location in the restaurant business is very, very key. And we knew we'd have that to fight the whole time, but it's been ebbs and flows, and we've actually seen some really, really good results from that here in the last year or so.
Do you? I imagine, especially during a pandemic, this is probably an unfair question to ask, but do you plan for the future? Do you say, maybe we want to expand, maybe we want to move to a bigger location, to a different city, that kind of thing? Or is it, hey, we just kind of need to get through what we're dealing with right now, and then we can worry about that later?
Yeah, Julie likes to say never, take anything out of the realm of possibility.
Sure.
So not that that's on our short-term list of things to do. It's always a kind of pat on the back when somebody comes in and says, "Man, I wish y'all would move to Longview, or I wish you were in my town."
Right.
That'd be great. And we've thought about it, but right now we just want to get through this time. Maybe get to a place where we can even expand our hours here a little bit. We're only open for dinner crowds until 7 p.m. on Thursday and Friday right now. And Saturday it'll be 11 to 3. But there's some opportunity for just some more hours. But as far as a second location, it's not in the short-term plans right now.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think it would be. I mean, it's kind of a tough time to try to be doing anything in terms of expansion, that kind of thing. How has COVID affected you? Have you seen a drop off? Have y'all had to kind of struggle through? Have people still been steady coming? What's been kind of what is your outlook, and what have y'all gone through in terms of COVID times?
I think we've been fairly lucky. We have seen our sales numbers drop just because I think that's across the board for anybody right now. We closed the doors for a couple of weeks back on the onset of COVID, and we shifted our business model to curbside, to online ordering, carry out, and we kind of just adapted and tried to bob and weave with all the changes and just try to keep our employees gainfully employed during that too. And I think that was one of the better things is we're a really small staff. We put in long hours, but we didn't have to worry about a huge staff and what are we going to do to keep these people, keep food on their table. So we were able to keep that going. And, things could always be better. And without this situation, I feel like we would, like I said, we've had a little bit of success and we've seen an uptick. I would like to see what it would look like without all these other restrictions and limitations we have right now.
Well, I certainly hope that comes sooner rather than later. Hey, so, look, there are Tex-Mex places in Texas galore. We've got more Mexican restaurants than we can count here in Shreveport. We even have, taco trucks and taco places. What do you feel like differentiates your product, your tacos, from other places? What do you feel like is the selling point for Wright On Taco Shop that people should make the drive to Harleton, even if it's just 10 minutes out of the way when you're on the interstate? Why do you feel like your place is the place people need to go?
I think, first of all, the quality ingredients we use is number one. We treat every menu item with the same respect. We've got a lot of unique items that you can't find anywhere else. We've got a fried avocado taco. I know a lot more people are doing barbecue brisket tacos now, but we've got a few variations on that one as well. We say, for instance, this week I had a smoked bologna. We're going to do the Texas Twinkie jalapeno wraps this weekend. I've got smoked burgers on deck for tomorrow. So we kind of keep the menu very fresh and run specials all the time too. So you could come in here 4 or 5 times a week and you can eat something different off the menu each day. So I feel like that's what we offer. Most Tex-Mex restaurants have 5 ingredients: it's bean, cheese, tortilla, and lettuce. But
some kind of protein.
We kind of have. Yeah. But we've got a variation on things. And I think, like I said, we got a solid barbecue menu. We got a solid taco menu. And I think we have a little bit of something even for the kiddos to find. And so
nothing wrong with that.
Definitely one of a kind.
Yeah. And look, it's a cool spot. Like I mentioned, it's not in the middle of nowhere, but I think you can probably see it. I think it's just north of you, actually, the middle of nowhere. But it's, again, you mentioned you're kind of sandwiched between the triangle of Jefferson, Marshall, and Longview. I tell folks here, look, it's worth a drive. I tell everyone to go to Riverport. I tell everyone to go to Bodacious in Longview. Basically, it's going to your place is like going to Riverport or Bodacious. It's about the exact same length and the exact same time frame. So less than an hour to get there from Shreveport. So I encourage everyone to go out there and try it out. One of our texters, Draco, said it's the best taco he's ever had, and he's going over there a bunch of times to eat. And so, one of my things I like to do, Brian, is I love spotlighting local businesses that have good products that people may not have heard about. And to me, Riverport's growing in popularity. Bodacious, number 4 on the Texas Monthly Top 50 list, growing in popularity. I learned about you from Steven over at Riverport. Come over there, and your food blows me away. So for me, it's worth it to drive 45 minutes to come and get 5 of your tacos and some sliced brisket. because the food's that good and you're supporting a locally owned business. So, man, I applaud you, and I love what your product. I love what you're doing, and I encourage everyone to come out and see you.
Pat, we're so grateful for all the help. Like I said, there's several people come in weeks ago said, yeah, I was listening to the Tiger, and Patrick sent me over here, and I came in for the first time. So
well, that's what we're all about, man. No, look, hey, you're doing a great job. You and your wife both you're putting together a fantastic product, and that's what it's all about, man. I'm all about if the food is good, I will drive a long way. We just had a texter text in, said he's going to be there Saturday for lunch. So go if you see the redheaded guy that looks like a Viking, go say hi to him. That's Brian.
All right.
So, and we got an all right for you right there. Just to get you going. Brian, man, it's been terrific to chat with you. Thank you so much for the time. Y'all keep putting together great food and a great product, and we'll keep pushing people your way, brother.
Absolutely. And have everybody follow the social medias, Instagram and Facebook, for all the specials and the updates on what we got going on, man.
Wright On Taco Shop, WRIGHT. That's how you find it. Brian, thanks, brother.
Thanks so much, man.
All right. Brian Wright, Wright On Taco Shop in Harleton, Texas.